There's a political firestorm tearing through the south suburbs right now. And sitting dead center in the chaos? Tiffany Henyard, once celebrated as a rising star. She branded herself the super mayor, promising transparency, accountability, and a people-first agenda. To many, she looked like the fresh-faced local politics desperately needed, young, bold, and eager to shake up a broken system. She said all the right words, painted all the right pictures, and carried herself like a true servant of the people. But that carefully crafted image, it's collapsing fast. The superhero persona she wrapped herself in has been shredded by scandal after scandal. And now, Henyard faces something no PR stunt, no stage photo op, and no social media post can cover up: a looming federal investigation. This week alone dropped another bombshell. The Illinois State Comptroller froze all state payments to Dalton. Why? Because Dalton's government failed to submit mandatory financial records, documents required by law. And let's be clear, this isn't a paperwork mix-up. This is a five-alarm fire. It signals a complete breakdown: no documentation, no transparency, no oversight, which now means no access to critical state funding. That's not just sloppy governance. That's a collapse of leadership in real time. Meanwhile, fresh questions are bubbling up about how taxpayer money has been used or misused. Township funds, for example, were reportedly spent on trips that had nothing to do with township business. One glaring case: a national mayor's conference meant strictly for city officials. Yet, somehow, Thornton Township representatives were on the guest list. That's not a clerical accident. That's a calculated move. A power grab that reeks of ethical corruption. And with the super mayor under federal scrutiny, this isn't speculation. It's a setup for an ugly showdown. Trust this. We're only in the opening act. Back in Dalton, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Residents who once cheered Henyard's name are now storming meetings, demanding answers. The same community that once hailed her as a savior now holds protest signs, fueled by outrage and betrayal. Public forums aren't community discussions anymore. They're war zones. And even her inner circle? Crumbling. Allies are quietly slipping away, some even flipping sides outright. Because when federal agents start knocking, loyalty tends to disappear overnight. ATA recent Thornton Township board meeting. The simmering anger finally exploded. The atmosphere was electric with fury. Residents were shouting. Trustees sat stunned. In the finances? A total disaster zone. What people saw wasn't chalked up to poor planning. It was called out as outright betrayal. Whistleblowers tried to raise red flags and got slapped down with threats. Some employees who dared to speak truth, fired on the spot. This isn't simple mismanagement. This is a death of public trust, the kind of rot that poisons every level of leadership. And then came the bombshell that left jaws on the floor. Over $33,000 allegedly spent on Amazon in one single day. Not a year, not a quarter, a single day. That's not a typo, and it's not a stray purchase order. That's raw abuse of power. It screams arrogance. I can do what I want, and no one can stop me. This isn't service to the people anymore. This is luxury spending at the public's expense. It exposes exactly what the so-called operation has become. Not leadership, but self-indulgence. But the damage isn't only financial, it's emotional. The community she swore to uplift is heartbroken. What began as a movement of hope has twisted into betrayal. Residents truly believed Henyard would be the one to fight for the forgotten, to champion the underdog. Instead, they got smoke and mirrors. They got deception. They got a leader who sold them dreams and delivered disaster point where the only brave voices to step forward was Carmen Carroll, a whistleblower who didn't just see the dysfunction, she lived it. And instead of looking the other way, she did the unthinkable. She spoke up. What happened next? Immediate retaliation. Careers ruined. Fear became the daily reality. Inside Henyard's circle, loyalty wasn't something you earned. It was something you were forced into. Question her? You're cut off. Challenge her? You're crushed. Tell the truth? You're silenced. This isn't leadership. It's raw control. And finally, the people of Dalton are watching the mask slip. What was supposed to be a new beginning has curdled into a nightmare, a cautionary tale unfolding in real time. This is what happens when power runs unchecked, when transparency gets tossed aside like yesterday's trash. Decisions made in secret rooms. Public meetings reduced to stage PR shows. Residents shut out, their voices dismissed, their truth buried deep under spin, but the media wouldn't stop. Reporters kept digging, and every layer peeled back revealed another scandal. Behind the polished speeches and photo ops, a system was collapsing in broad daylight. And now, the feds are circling, subpoenas piling up, federal agents knocking on doors. The pressure is boiling over, and nobody can dodge the questions anymore. What once looked like confidence now reeks of manipulation. Meanwhile, Henyard scrambles to control the optics. Public comments shut down. Reporters stonewalled. Narratives rewritten on the fly. But the cracks? They're far too deep to patch. The damage is done. The trust is gone. And the fallout? Exploding into the open. The woman who once called herself the people's mayor is being exposed as the opposite, because in the end, it's the people who paid the price. Lavish trips, VIP treatment, excess at every turn, all bankrolled by the very residents she swore to fight for. Tiffany Henyard talked a good game, but her actions screamed something else entirely. She wasn't for the people, she was for herself. And then came the wildest twist yet, the infamous Good Burger Facebook fiasco. Once upon a time, Henyard owned a little restaurant called Good Burger. It closed down, but the Facebook page? It didn't disappear. Instead, it magically transformed into the Tiffany Henyard Cares Cancer Foundation. Same page, same admin, same login. When residents asked questions, legitimate questions, about the charity's authenticity, she denied everything. Straight face. But the receipts online? They told a whole different story. And let's be real, once the feds sniff charity fraud, the game changes fast. This isn't just bad press. It's potential criminal charges. In just 2 weeks, the FBI fired off 5 subpoenas. 5 aimed squarely at Dalton and Thornton Township. One zeroing in on her private security detail, where one officer allegedly clocked over 300 hours in just 14 days. Do the math. That's more than 21 hours a day. Every day. No breaks. No way. Now the feds want answers. Dalton officials have been ordered to hand everything over. Every document. Every record. No later than May 20th. No delays. No excuses. This isn't a friendly request. It's the law coming down hard. This is what a political collapse looks like. Not slow, not quiet, but loud, fast, and unforgiving. The so-called super mayor crown she once wore, gone, replaced by a mountain of subpoenas and federal scrutiny. And this isn't some gossip page drama. This is real life, real families, real taxpayer money, burned, misused, abused. And now that she's out of office, the safety net is gone. No title. No shield, no more protection. Tiffany Henyard is just another private citizen, one facing a tidal wave of consequences, with nowhere left to our UNS the question now. Will Tiffany Henyard fade into history as just another corrupt politician who flew too close to the sun? Or is she plotting one last desperate move, one final twist to rewrite the script? Because make no mistake, the empire she built, the brand, the photo ops, the speeches, it's not just falling apart, it's detonating. In public, for everyone to see, Dalton doesn't need another headline. It needs healing. It needs leaders who actually serve. Because the people, they've already lost too much. Their trust, their hope, their voice. And what they demand now, more than anything, is accountability. And as the subpoenas stack higher and insiders start talking louder, one thing is clear. This saga is far from over. The biggest bombshells? They might still be coming. Will Tiffany Henyard vanish into scandal shadows like so many before her? Or will she stage one last dramatic act? Either way, the story's not done. And if the past is any clue, the next chapter? It's about to get even messier. Because when someone who branded herself as super mayor ends up drowning in subpoenas, scandal, and federal probes, it's not just a fall from grace. It's the total collapse of everything she pretended to stand for. Dalton's not just dealing with mismanagement. It's living through betrayal, fueled by ego, enabled by silence, protected by unchecked power. Tiffany Henyard came in polished, confident, promising change. But beneath the surface, a darker truth, one that Dalton is paying the price for. What started with hope has ended in heartbreak. And the people she left behind, they deserve better. Dalton put their faith in her, their trust, their vote, and Tiffany Henyard used it, not to build a community, but to build herself, a brand, a spotlight, a lifestyle, the glossy photos, the national headlines, the bold speeches. It all looked like progress until the receipts started piling up. Flights, luxury dinners, endless shopping, a mayor more obsessed with control than with results. And when even your closest allies start bailing, that's checkmate. Loyalty doesn't survive federal subpoenas. It evaporates the second the FBI comes knocking. That $33,300 Amazon bill in just one day, that wasn't a mistake. That wasn't oversight. That was pure entitlement. Straight greed. Charge of the very people who trusted her most. But the real wound isn't financial, it's betrayal. Whistleblowers like Carmen Carroll risked everything to sound the alarm, to tell the truth. And for that, they were silenced, retaliated against, erased from the system they tried to save. Her story revealed what Dalton was really living under. Not leadership, but fear. Not accountability, but arrogance. Not governance, but a machine fueled by ego and intimidation. And now, with the mask ripped away, the implosion is undeniable. The travel, the firings, the Facebook Foundation fraud, the lawsuits. Every new headline confirms the same truth. Henyard was never leading. She was performing. Each week brings another crack in the facade. Every subpoena closes in tighter. Dalton isn't just watching a mayor fall. They're watching their faith in government collapse right alongside her. And the tragedy? It didn't have to end this way. If the tough questions had been asked sooner, if oversight had done its job, if more leaders had remembered who they were supposed to serve. But now, it's too late. The FBI's clock is ticking. The final chapter is already being drafted in INK. So the only question left is this. Will Tiffany Henyard go down quietly? Just another corrupt name in Illinois history? Or is she gearing up for one last desperate stunt to flip the script? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain, Dalton deserves better. And this story, it's nowhere near over.